All right, good evening, everybody. Thank you guys for joining us for our September Family Life G Chat. Those of you who maybe are joining us for the first time, we do this about once a month, and we normally have guests and kind of shoot around some questions kind of on topic for that month. This month, we're doing something pretty fun. We have Joey Svensson, Pastor Joey. He's campus pastor at Seacoast James Island.
Yeah! Woo woo!
Woo woo! We got Toby Morrell, who is the worship leader, small group director at our campus, and he's very strong.
Yep, that's one of my key assets.
He's very strong-willed.
And then probably making all of us cooler is Jennifer Williamson. She is our children's director at Seacoast James Island. So, and then there's myself. I'm hosting the event, Andy Gill.
If she doesn't make things cooler, she definitely makes us smarter.
Yes, definitely, especially Toby. He needs a lot of help.
He was talking.
If you haven't already figured out, we're pretty lighthearted here. And we're going to basically be asking ourselves questions, shooting some questions to each other about parenting. There's really no boundaries as far as what topics we're going to bring up to each other. One thing that is true is we do not know the questions that we're going to be asking each other. So the answers are going to be right off the hip. So be wary when Toby talks because it's going to be crazy. So anyway, before we get started, if you haven't followed us on Facebook, you can. I'm going to put it up here or try to. I don't know if it'll work, but here is our Facebook page and James Island Family Life. You can just go up top on your page and search for James Island Family Life, and then you should be able to find us and follow us as well.
Those are cute kids. Just saying.
If we can pull that up. Did that switch over? James Island Family Life podcast. These are where we post every 2 weeks. We post a 5-minute podcast just on parenting, anything, you can go on there and subscribe to it. You can also search on iTunes for James Island Family Life and follow us and subscribe there as well to the same podcast. So, that is it for that. Why don't we start with Joey, and Joey, you fire off your first question to the other two.
All right, sounds good. My question is, how do you guys actively pursue being a better parent?
Boom. Let's put Jennifer on the spot.
Woo!
Actively pursue being a better parent. I read, I talk to other parents, I pray a lot, I read the Bible. God's got all kinds of instruction in there. I'd say that's it, the Bible and other books and other parents. And then sometimes when I do my prayer time, I journal, and I feel like God moves me in different directions, and I kind of write it down, things to think about. Sometimes I get revelation that way, and I write it down. Thanks for making me go first.
You guys got any follow-up to that? I know I have something I want to ask her, unless you guys do.
Go ahead, Andy.
Have you always pursued God in that same excitement about your parenting? And if not, you're shaking your head no. If not, do you see yourself more effective, and in what ways when you're pursuing God? Do you see yourself more effective as a parent?
I think you're asking, have I always pursued him with the same intensity as I'm describing right now, if that's what I'm describing?
Right, yeah.
And when they were little, I thought that I could do more and control more just because they were little. And I literally, I could structure them, and I could control the influences that came into their lives pretty well, from neighborhood influences to media influences, school, everything. I mean, I just kind of leaned towards maybe probably overprotecting my kids, and so when they were little, that was a lot easier. But as they have grown up, I see what's always been the truth, which is that it really was never all in my control. And I pray more and trust more, and I've just let them go a lot more. Right now they are 13, 15, and 17 until tomorrow, and then she's 18. So I have come a long way in relying on me and relying on God. That's where I am right now, is relying on Him a lot more than I did when they were little.
Cool. Toby, what about you? Answering Joey's initial question.
I can't remember even what it was.
Hey!
Joey, you want to repeat the question?
Pastor Joey, can you repeat the question?
You really are serious.
Yeah. I was really listening intently to what Jennifer had to say.
Okay.
And he asked a whole other question.
How do you actively pursue being a better parent?
How do I actively pursue being a better parent? I would say, first off, to be totally honest, I don't do a good job at this. I think lots of times I am on the back end of bad parenting and realize, oh, I need to actively pursue not doing this anymore. That's kind of what happens. I would say the biggest thing for me lately that I try to recognize is being fully present. It is, I mean, and I don't want to complain here because I know most people are busy with jobs and this event or that event or small groups or whatever it might be, and it's very easy for me to get caught up in work or doing a good job, even if that's for my family, like making sure I have things planned for us or that we're taken care of, or whatever vehicle needs fixing or whatever it might be. And I think that I miss a lot of times actually being present in the moment when I get home and just blowing bubbles outside our front door, you know what I mean, with the kids for a little bit like that. To me, I'm like, oh, I'm not getting something done. There's a little bit in me that wants to do that, and I realize that I'm not being present if I'm just in a living room finishing this last email. That it would really be good if I could just get it done. I'm missing a moment to actually be there for my kids, just to have fun. So for me, a big thing I've been trying to actively pursue is just that idea of being present and putting away technology, or even putting away my own, man, I just got home, can I just chill out for 10 minutes? Like, there's many times I just want to sit down and kind of recoup, and I think for me, it's I don't necessarily have that luxury, and when I don't take that luxury for myself, it's always fulfilling. Like even yesterday, getting home from 2 days ago, I'm sorry, getting home and just literally blowing bubbles with my kids. It wasn't even that much time, but it just was a bond that I was like, oh, okay, this is super simple, and I'm complaining that I need to go do this. No, this is something I get to do. So I think being present and putting away the busyness of life for a little while to just be a dad.
Yeah, I know I have gone through long seasons. I'm actually in one right now where I've asked John Adams, one of my accountability partners, to text me on a weekly basis and ask me how I'm doing when I come home with my phone, because I will, email everything just like you're describing. It's right there at my fingertips, and I put my phone up on the bar face down and sometimes cut it off. And if I don't do that, he'll text me and ask me how I did with that, for the evening hours that my kids are still awake. And, I got to be honest with him sometimes, and a lot of times it is, I screwed up big time this week. I've only did it 1 week or 1 day out of the week. I was on my email during dinner. So, I need that accountability to be that present like you're describing too. That's good.
Yeah, I'll say real quick that I think that as crazy and epic as this sounds, I think Christians or just humanity in general, we've got to lead the way in doing something about technology. And I would say, me being a Christian, from a Christian perspective, I just can't imagine Jesus like always checking his phone while people were around him and, hey, yeah, let the kids come to me, but I've got to do something on Instagram. I mean, I'm just as much at fault with cell phones, but we got to figure something out, man, in the church.
I think what you're saying is exactly what everybody feels. We need to destroy all technology. Okay, next question.
All right, Toby, why don't you take it away with the next question?
Oh, I got the next one?
Yeah, man.
Hey, Toby, watch this. When you talk, watch.
Look, Jennifer, you're talking to Jennifer?
No, I'm looking at you.
Yeah, but Joey, that only works for
Yeah.
you. Nobody else can see that.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I saw you looking at Jennifer.
It's not like the Brady Bunch.
Right. All right, y'all. I don't know who wants to answer this one first, but both of you guys have kids. Like our oldest is 4 years old, and you guys have been in the school system a little bit longer. And I was thinking this question, just kind of preparing myself with younger kids, what to look forward to. How do you guys, or how have you seen the role of your teachers in the learning process concerning like you guys being Christians? Like they are teaching your kids, and you guys are Christians as well. How does that play into the learning process of your child?
Joey? Joey?
I lost Toby for a little while there, so if I seem off track, it's because I didn't hear his whole question. But I think this question in the Bible Belt is going to look really different. All three teachers of my oldest daughter, she's been in school the longest. They've been Christians, and so I don't feel like there's been any conflict of interest. And honestly, as easy as that makes it, for me, I think that I don't have a pursuit of making sure all of my kids' teachers are Christians either, just because that's not the real world. So I think what I need to concentrate on as a parent is keep the discussions going, ask questions, and honestly, for Priscilla and I, it is a year-by-year decision as to whether or not they are homeschooled or in public school. And right now they're at a very, very good school. They have to be on a waiting list to get in, and so we feel pretty comfortable with where they're at. But if it ever got to a point where we kind of felt like we're losing ground on our kids, and it was because of our shortage of time spent with them, then we'd make a judgment call. But I don't feel like, man, I hope all of my kids' teachers are Christians from 1st to 12th grade. Did I answer that question right? Because I really did lose you for a while.
Yeah. I was just wondering what the role is. Like, is it? I guess what I'm saying is too, like, how much influence do they have in your kids' lives?
A lot.
They really do, but at the same time, that doesn't. What you're saying, Joey, is that doesn't necessarily concern you because you want to be primary teacher of the gospel in your kids' lives as well, right? Is that what you're saying?
Right. I feel like with my kids, I have a solid enough foundation with them relationally to where they are telling me stuff and they are talking, and so I have that connection. But honestly, and there's another part of me. It's just like, am I that stupid to delegate my kids majority of their time for the whole week? So basically, most of their time period to another person. I mean, I think about that, and I think that's why for Priscilla and I, it is a year-by-year decision. Right now, we're comfortable with them going to school for a full day, but there's a part of me that's just like, is that okay? There's a friend of mine who is a pastor of a church and school, and he would recommend parents homeschool over sending their kids to his Christian school because he believes in the time that parents spend with their kids just to be so important. So really it's something to think about.
Yeah, I think regardless of, public, Christian, homeschool, well, I guess homeschool, you have complete control, but like, what we've done, we homeschool one of ours. We have plans to homeschool all of them, but it's a year-to-year thing, just like Joey's saying. And what we've done is, I think Joey said this, but just being aware of what's being taught to them, asking them questions, don't let them get off the hook by saying, what'd you do at school today? Oh, nothing. Like, no, you didn't do nothing. Answer the question. So just being aware is what I was thinking of, and understanding that, like Joey and Toby said, it's an immense amount of time that you're delegating to somebody. So I would hope, that you would want to know what's being taught. So Jennifer, you got anything to add?
I do. Well, so do I do this, like the 1 minute thing, or?
Yeah, minute and a half. Yeah.
The question actually just took 20 seconds away, though, so you only have 40 seconds.
Okay, so So I'll just narrow it down to one thing that popped in my mind while y'all were talking, because of course that's a subject that we could have an entire Google chat on schools, so that might be a good idea for the future. But what popped into my mind is I don't feel like I did a fabulous job of like representing Christ in the schools. Like I don't. Looking back, I wish I had been more generous with the teachers, with my time and with donations, and even just being in the classroom more, things like that. I wish I had. I think that if your kids are going to be in public school, which all three of mine were, that we should aim to be a presence in the school, to get to know their friends, their teachers, what their teachers' personalities are like, and kind of the system of the school day for them, to hear what the other kids are talking about and how the teacher teaches, I think is valuable, because it helps you understand when your kids are talking to you kind of where they're coming from. I did meet the teachers pretty often for every conference and some extra, so I knew who their teachers were, but I wish I had helped more in the classroom, and I think that Priscilla does a really good job of that. I know she goes in on Fridays, or she used to, every single week, and did whatever the teacher needed her to do. That is a very loving thing to do for a teacher, and I wish I had done that. And then when the opportunity comes to bless them on Teacher Appreciation Day, I always try to do that, and probably could have even done a better job with it. So I guess I'm taking kind of a different angle, like how can we, if your kids are in public schools, how do you be a part of that? Because,
yeah, and Jennifer, it may need to be very, very little effort kind of stuff, given that a lot of families are dual career. It may just be sending a simple note saying, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. I mean, a lot of people wouldn't be able to do what Priscilla does. I want to revisit one part of the conversation, and that is I catch myself saying sometimes, man, that's not real world. So why are we trying to keep our kids out of certain situations when that's not what they're going to grow up in? And I need to be careful when I say that, and I think other people need to also, because I think there's a spiritual realm and there's a physical realm, and none of us would have any problem with saying, I'm not putting my 4-year-old on a plane all by himself. Like, he's not going to fly all by himself. That's just not a situation I'm going to put him in. And I think that we need to lend a little credibility also to the spiritual realm. The kid, when he's 14, we probably will. So I think just as we protect them from being in weird physical situations, as far as like being in a plane by themselves, we can protect them from certain situations, at a younger age as well. So.
I need to say too, going back to what Andy said, and actually, Jennifer, you did this. I thought it was really cool on Facebook. I think it was Facebook, social media. Keeping up with your kids. I think that's what you guys are all saying too. Like in this situation, really being involved, being the parent, even in that situation, is really huge. And Jennifer, you reposted 25 ways to ask. How was your child's day going?
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool because I mean, our 4-year-old, I promise you, I ask her every day, hey, how was school? And she goes, nah. She didn't want to say anything, and then I have to go, well, what's some of your friends' names? I don't know. I mean, she's kind of being just that way, but and it's funny, but at the same time, I really do want to know. So I kind of took some of those, and what was your favorite part about the day? And kind of took some of those and put it on a 4-year-old level, but they really do work. So I think just being interested in your kid and what their day involved will just be a wealth of information. And it makes them feel like, well, my parents are interested, and at the same time, you're learning kind of in an organic, real way what their teachers like, what their school's like, instead of just going, do you like it or do you not? What was bad, what was good? That's kind of harder to answer, I think, for our kids.
Yeah.
Yep. Tried to flash that up there, that 25 ways. I don't know if that worked or not, but so let's move the conversation along. Jennifer, you got a question?
Yeah. So let's see. It's kind of a different vein, but has your child ever been so sick that you were really afraid, and what did you do?
Woo. Toby.
Well, I have a very serious answer that is doesn't make Jess and I look too good. But well, when I was working at a church in Seattle, it was time for Ruby to go to bed, and our son had just been born, and Ruby was in the living room. I don't want to go to bed. I don't want to go to bed. And I kind of heard a noise, and she started crying. I was in her bedroom telling her to come to bed. She ran out to the living room, just playing, just not wanting to go to bed. And when I went out there, I saw Ruby start walking to me, and she looked at me, and she just started going like this and fell over. And then I picked her up, and Jess, it was like this moment where everything just goes, and just everything almost freezes. And it's kind of that moment where you realize, oh wait, I'm the dad, I'm the mom. This is that point where I'm in charge here. It's not like, oh, I got a dad or somebody to help me, And it was that first moment in my life where I was like, oh no, and I picked up Ruby and I looked at her and her eyes rolled back in her head and she was just kind of doing like this, and I didn't know what to do. I felt as weak as water and I was just petrified. And I heard Jess came in from the kitchen, was standing right beside me, but it was almost like she was really far away. And I just remember going, this is it. This is where you're the dad. And I was like, Jess, everything's okay. And I pulled Ruby to me and she came out of it like that. We're petrified, though. I was like, did my daughter just have a seizure? What in the world just happened? We rushed her. This is about 9 o'clock at night. We rushed her to the emergency room in downtown Seattle, and we didn't even know where the hospital was. Actually, that was what's funny. We were riding around for 20, 30 minutes trying to find the hospital because we didn't even know. And got her checked out. Doctor said everything was fine, not a big deal. There was no seizure. There was no anything. There was nothing wrong with her. We thought maybe she had a concussion, but she was eating. Maybe she had hit her head. They could find nothing wrong. Basically, it was just a little blip. Something just happened. There was a idea that maybe she had just been crying and kind of lost her breath and just kind of hyperventilated a little bit. But anyway, on the way home, we're leaving, and I realized in that moment, overwhelmingly so, that our daughter was our idol, and that I held her so highly that all I could think about when that happened was, Lord, don't take her from me. Lord, don't let her be hurt. I mean, I remember holding her, trying to just be super calm and be a strong father, and inside I was just like, God, you cannot do this. You cannot let her be hurt. No matter what, please, please don't do this, God. You don't understand. And I realized on the way home, and Jess and I just had a really serious conversation, that our calling to be parents is not to save our kids' lives. I mean, no matter what. And that's oh gosh, that is the scariest thing in the world. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to protect her and pull her out of the way of traffic or lead her the right way and do all that stuff, but I cannot keep my child alive. That is up to God. Our goal and what God has called us to do is to introduce them to Him and to let them know Jesus and let them see Jesus in our life and explain the gospel, and so that they would really have something real. And so that was a huge turning point for Jess and I, because we really realized, if our kids are sick or something like that, it's devastating. She means so much to us that, she kind of supplanted God a little bit. Like, if something happens to her, we're done. You know what I mean? Like, God, who are you if you could let that happen to us? And we, from that point on, and I'm not saying it's easy now, when our kids get sick or hurt, it's scary. But I think Jess and I have a realization now in our minds of, hey, we had to have a real conversation. We love our kids so much that maybe we love them too much, more than even God, who is everything. Is the whole reason we're here. It's the most important thing, and getting them to know Him, introducing them to Him, letting that be a real relationship with them is way more important than going, oh well, man, she's healthy. You know what I mean? Like, of course we want that, and I would never wish any kind of sickness on anybody, any kid whatsoever. I can't imagine. Just that brief moment in time scared me so badly. But I think that was the realization Jess and I came at. God has to be God, and then we can work through everything through that. If our kids are the most important thing, then everything starts getting a little murky.
Yeah, I don't like that story about Ruby at all. Every time you tell me, I don't like it. I would say similar situation. I have to relearn what Toby articulated on a regular basis for sure, but I think the biggest one for Priscilla and I was when Rosa was probably 2 years old. She started to limp, and it was just really weird because we said, that, are you hurting? And she said no. We were like, okay, we want you to stop limping. Go get that piece of candy over there, and if you can do it without limping, you can have the piece of candy. She loved candy, and she couldn't do it. She limped over there, and we were like, what in the world? And then it just hit me. I was like, I had a cousin who my parents actually observed limping at the beach, and they told his parents, hey, you need to go get that checked out. He died of muscular dystrophy. So just that thought in my head, all of a sudden my mind just went racing, and I was like, I can't live and see my daughter go through what I saw my cousin go through. Like, I can't handle that. And it started to overwhelm us. It started to just be a part of all of our thoughts. It just started taking over our minds, our household. And finally, I came to the same, thing that Toby was talking about. Just like, my daughter is my idol, and if this happens, am I going to worship the Lord? And and am I going to still find peace and comfort and all that sort of thing? So, obviously here we are 6 years later, and that was not the case. But still, there's a crossroads that I think all Christian parents have to come to, and that is, do we worship the Lord or do we worship our kids? And I think for me, certain things will happen for me to have to recalibrate that sort of thing, because kids, for sure, are the number one potential idol in my life. But yeah, that was a tough season.
Yep, definitely. All right, we got a little bit more time. We had actually sent some social media messages blasts out to kind of fire some questions into us from people that frequent our Facebook page and podcast. And so I got a bunch of questions actually, but I'm going to pick one, maybe two, if we have enough time. So this one, Jennifer, this is one geared to somebody that has a high school son. Since you're the only one with high school kids, my high school son is starting to distance himself from me emotionally, and it's killing me, period. So there's no question to that. It's killing her. How do you handle that? I don't know if you've experienced that or not, but.
Well, it's interesting that you said she asked the question, because I was going to ask if it was the dad or the mom. And it's natural. My understanding is it's natural for the sons to start aligning more with the dads about that age. And I've experienced that in my house in some aspects of Zach's life, where he's aligning more with Mark now. And I have to, rejoice in that, actually, because he's a man. He's not a woman. And as far as the emotional distance, I don't know her son and the relationship they already had. My son is very expressive and very communicative. And so I've seen a small percentage of a change in that, but he hasn't shifted personality, like to a different child where he won't talk, or, where he never laughs or wants to be with me, or, is lighthearted. He has not changed face. Just I've noticed just a small percentage of maybe his heart or something is devoted to his dad in a different way now. And maybe that used to be mine. I mean, maybe he used to come to mom first for just about everything, and now he goes to dad on a regular basis, as he should. So does that help? Does that address?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess we all could have a perspective of this. For me personally, I'm the student ministry director at our campus, so just naturally because of what I do, I'm around a lot of teenagers and stuff, and so I see that all the time. Joey was a youth pastor for years. Toby doesn't count, but when I see this, like it's just a point of concern to reiterate just the importance of, as a parent, doing what you can to ensure that your kid has a broader circle of influence, or people that can influence him besides just you. Number one, always remember that you are the number one person that is put on this earth to disciple your kid. You're going to have the most influence regardless of whether or not they're receiving it or not. You have the most potential influence on your kid. But with that said, just the importance of mentoring, discipleship, from if you're a part of a church family, if you're part of our church family here, there's people here that, that I even, send my son, with for a Saturday, and my daughters as well, just to kind of hang out with somebody that's not mom or dad. And so sometimes that can just drum up a little bit of courage for that person to, be able to get your kid to open up to them where you at that season of your kid's life aren't going to be able to. And so just having those partnerships, I think, is a good tool to combat this as well.
I think I want to say something else if I can, if you can hear me. So that was kind of a light answer that I gave, and I guess a heavier thing that I want to say is the emotional distance, to make sure that it's not encompassing like their entire personality. Like if there's anything that's in the dark in their life, like, make sure you know what's coming into your house, what they're watching, what they have access to, who their friends are. Like Andy said, what their influences are. Like, it would be concerning to me if it's not just a natural disattachment from the mom kind of going towards the dad, which I think is what's going on in our house right now. I mean, there's nothing alarming me about it. It's my mom's heart feels a certain way about it, but there's nothing alarming me.
Right.
Zach has not gone inward. I'm not worried about him. We control his technology in a way that it's not perfect, but we're satisfied that we are reasonably controlling what he has access to. And if that mom is concerned about more than just that one relationship, just her and the son, if just in general his outlook has changed and all that, that would be a warning sign of a different kind to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think what everybody's saying is, too, just that idea of community and sharing this. Like, this is a good opportunity for this mom to say that in a safe place and kind of in a joking way, but also not. Like, it's easy to lose your mind sometimes, it feels like, with your kids. Like, I made a joke on Sunday morning with some guys that Jess and I were living this awesome life, and then we decided that we wanted to create 3 humans that can make me go, "Don't you do that!" Like, they can pull that out of me, and that's okay. And I'm really glad they're pulling that out of me. I need to see that that's how I can react to people, and that's a community in itself. My family is a community, but I think just to that mom, I don't know if she's a single mom or if she's married, but definitely finding community where you can share that, kind of can get that burden off your shoulders, so that you don't carry that on your own. Because being a parent is one of the craziest rides in the whole world, for sure.
Amen to that. Sure. Well, hey, our 30 minutes is up, so we want to respect your time.
Already?
Yeah, man.
Let's go double, guys. Let's go an hour.
But we, always remember, what we claim here is we do not have all the answers, but we know that we are better together. So that's why we keep pushing. Join our Family Life Facebook page, and also the podcast. You can, like I said, go on iTunes if it's easier for you to subscribe there and get them sent directly to your phone. Or just go to the website, which is seacoastjms.podbean.com. And you can also find that on our Facebook page as well. So really appreciate you guys joining us today, and look for the next podcast to come out in October. I won't spoil anything, but it's going to be pretty awesome. So love you guys.
Not as awesome as this one.
Yeah, and Andy, you're right. We don't have all the answers, but if you see Toby in the lobby, if you go to our church, just tell him that you think that he has most of the answers. It'll make him feel good about himself.
Thanks. Hey, guys, this is my first podcast I've ever been on, so thank you very much. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Toby.